We live in a delusion that a blue tick is a heartbeat. You see the read receipt and you think you still matter, just because the ghost on the other side decided to tap their screen. But let's strip away the sentimentality. That isn't connection. It is a ritual of maintenance. It is the digital equivalent of sweeping dust under a rug you stopped caring about months ago. We treat the ping of a notification like a lifeline, convincing ourselves that as long as the bubbles keep appearing, the relationship is alive. But the truth is far colder. Those messages are no longer bridges, they are barricades. We use them to keep people at arm's length while pretending we are holding their hand. It is a slow, polite rot. You know exactly what I am talking about. The conversation has shifted from "what are you thinking?" to "did you eat yet?" Or the dreaded, soulless "how was your day?" You don't actually want to know how their day was. You are just performing the role of someone who cares, hoping they will perform the role of someone who is still present. It is a pantomime of intimacy performed by two actors who have forgotten their lines. The descent begins with the death of curiosity. When you first met, every mundane detail of their life felt like a treasure map. You wanted to know what they had for breakfast, what song they were listening to, what shade of annoyance they felt during their commute. Back then, your brain was dopamine-starved, and their existence was the feast. But hunger is temporary. Once the mystery is stripped away, you are just left with a person. And people, by their nature, are repetitive. You realize that their funny stories are just the same 3 anecdotes recycled with different punchlines. Their opinions on the world are static. Their emotional baggage is heavy, and frankly, you are tired of carrying it. But you can't just stop, can you? Society tells us that cutting off contact without a grand, dramatic reason makes us the villain. So, we choose the path of the coward, the slow fade. We let the intervals between replies grow from minutes to hours, then hours to days. We treat the act of texting like a chore on a to-do list, something to be cleared before bed, so we can sleep without the phantom guilt of an unanswered question. Consider the effort involved in maintaining this illusion. You stare at the screen, cursor blinking like a heartbeat monitor, and you force yourself to conjure a reply that sounds interested. You use the right emojis, the slightly smiling face, the heart, the haha, to mimic the cadence of enthusiasm. It is linguistic gaslighting. You are lying to them, and more importantly, you are lying to yourself. You tell yourself, "I'm just busy," or "they understand I'm not a big texter." That is a lie. You have time to scroll through feeds, time to watch videos, time to get lost in the noise of the internet. You just don't have time for the burden of their presence. The tragedy isn't that you don't like them anymore. It is that you are too afraid to let them go. We are terrified of the silence that would follow if we actually stopped sending these ghost messages. If you stop the ritual, the absence becomes absolute. And for a generation that defines its worth by the number of people waiting to talk to us, that silence feels like a death sentence. But look at the cost of this maintenance. By keeping the conversation going on life support, you are preventing anything real from ever taking its place. You are filling the space in your life with static so that you don't have to hear the sound of your own loneliness. It is a comfortable numbness. You are effectively paying a tax of energy to keep a corpse upright. And the worst part? The other person is likely doing the exact same thing to you. They're staring at their screen, feeling the same hollowness, forcing the same hollow responses, just to avoid the awkwardness of a final conclusion. You are both locked in a Mexican standoff of indifference, neither willing to be the one to pull the trigger and admit that the curiosity has run dry. It is a strange, modern purgatory. We are collectively pretending that these digital signals constitute a bond, when in reality, they are just evidence that we are too scared to be truly alone. We keep the chat open because closing it feels like a failure. But keeping it open is a fraud. Realize this. The most honest thing you can do is let the silence come. The moment you feel the need to script your responses, the connection is already dead. You are not maintaining a relationship. You are maintaining a memory of a version of them that no longer exists, or perhaps one that never did. When the urge to share your day with them disappears, when the thought of their reply feels more like an interruption than a comfort, acknowledge it. Stop the performative empathy. You don't need to be mean, and you don't need to be dramatic. You just need to stop being a ghost in your own life. Let the screen go dark. If they reach out and you have nothing to say, let it sit there. The shame you feel for not replying is just your ego refusing to accept that the bridge has collapsed. Once you stop trying to resurrect the dead, you will find that the void isn't as terrifying as you thought. It is actually quiet. It is peaceful. And in that silence, you might finally find someone or something that actually sparks your curiosity again. Stop keeping up appearances. Presence without passion is just a prison of your own making. Texting is just the noise we use to hide the silence. Presence is the funeral, but we refuse to bury the body.